Hi everyone, this is Ann Huffman, and I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to trace a raster image. And a raster image is an image that does not have the black outlines around all of the pieces. The colors just seamlessly flow from one color to the next. Now, this was put together. You can tell that the Viking itself was a vector image because it has the black lines outlining each piece or part of it. But the state of Minnesota was an offset and then yet another offset, and they combined them together and then they uploaded it, or however it made its way to Google. So once it got to Google, it became a JPEG, and eventually it's a raster image because the outline isn't there. I tried to trace in Silhouette Studios, which I'm not the best in it, so I said let me also trace this in Inkscape, where I am much more comfortable and can do it faster. But keep in mind, this is a raster image, so it is going to be a couple of steps in doing it. But let's go ahead and get started. The first thing, as you all know, I like to enlarge my image so that when it traces, it'll pick up more of the detail. And I'm holding the control key down and dragging these directional arrows. And we'll go to Path, Trace Bitmap. I'll uncheck the smooth and stack scans and just click on live preview. And it's exactly what I said it was. You can see the Viking is going to trace really well. The purple offset of Minnesota will do okay, but that gold is not. So I'm not going to worry about it as much. I see that there's a little bit of fuzz going on around his chin. I'm going to try to darken it up a little bit just for these black outlines here. Maybe 55, and I'll say okay. And this is what we end up with. Of course, I'm not worried about all of this little remnant stuff because we're going to get rid of it. More concerned with this other part. So I'll close out the preview window. Our step two, of course, as you all know, is to break it apart, break it into pieces. And that's what we've done. And so that turned out really good. And I'm just going to click on these other little remnants here and hit my delete key. And I'll go over to my magic tool. It's magic for me, which is the edit nodes tool, and I'll hold the shift key down and grab everything that is going to be in that gold color. Something there. I think that's it. And I'll use a dropper. See if I've gotten everything that is supposed to be. And it looks like I do. So I'll go back to the select tool and I'll click group. And our next color now is going to be his face. Several colors. Okay, looks like I have all of that. Back to the select tool, right click, group. I left a gold part of his hair off. So I'm going to hold my shift key down and grab the other gold that I have grouped, and then I'll just hit group again. That's why sometimes when you get SVG files off of Facebook or Etsy or wherever you get them, you may need to right click and keep selecting group until it's grayed out, because it may be grouped several times. So now let's get these going. Shift key. Group both of them. And we have this. I already have that white outline going. So the only thing left now is this purple, and that makes it simple for me. I'm going to use the fill tool, I call it the paint bucket, and when I use it, as soon as I click on it, these are my options to be able to tweak it. I'm going to click this paintbrush to reset everything, and I'm going to change these millimeters to points, or I've used pixels, those work for me. And so it defaults to this threshold of 15. And let's see, with the threshold is how much of this do I want it to fill. The grow shrink is how close to the edges do I want it to go. So I'm not sure what color I have. I don't have a color. So I'm going to pick a color different than this purple so I can see how this fill is working. And that looks perfect. So now I'll drag it over here. And this thing wants to help me, this cusp node. And I'm going to go over here and click on it to disable it so I can move this where I want to move it. And now I'll use a dropper. And we have him there. And the only thing left is this outline here. And I could do this one of two ways. I could click here and do go to path and a linked offset, but I'm going to see how far I can get with the paint bucket. Purple is the last color. If I use purple now, I won't be able to tell the difference. So I'm just going to pick another color to get this outline. And positions sometimes matter, because this is how far around do I want to go. So zoom in, you'll notice I still did not get my edges. Well, this thing has gone back to MM. Should have stayed there because it was at 0. I didn't tell it how close to the edge, the grow shrink I wanted it to be. So I'm going to zoom back out with it, and let me just increase this. Oh, let's say halfway there. I didn't get it. 80%. So let's see, where am I at here? Getting closer. And that's something you have to keep playing around with. I think I'm okay with the 80 as far as how close to the edge. I think my problem is I need to increase this threshold number. There is no magic numbers to tell you to click on. It's a trial by error. Sometimes just one number makes a difference. So I'm going to go with that for the sake of the timing on this video. But of course, you will take way more time to make sure that it's right. And let's use this dropper tool and click on the gold. And I thought I changed that, but evidently I didn't. And there you go. Now we have it. This over here out of the way. I'm looking for my icon. I like to click it a couple of times. Make sure that everything is grouped. And then the last thing that I would do is go to path and say object to path. And you know, you only have to do it once, but I just get in the habit of doing it more than one time. I don't need this original anymore, so I'll get rid of it. So now I'll hold the control key down and I'm dragging it because I want to have it in a preview window for me. And if it's not in this rectangle, when you look at it in Windows Explorer, it's going to be a black rectangle because there is no preview. So the last thing now is to save it. And I'll go to File, Save As. Minnesota Viking and plain SVG, which is like a generic SVG to work in all of the software programs, and it's saved. And now all I would have to do is open it up, MN Viking SVG. Let's go back here. I'll open up a new document. I'll say File, Merge. It's one way to get it. MN Viking. And it's probably grouped together. Yes. Ungroup. And remember, I grouped it several times here, so you just keep right click and ungroup until it's all ungrouped. I brought it into here so that I could rename it what I wanted. That's why I use File Merge. The other way to do it is to just say File Open, and it's going to open a new document, and it's going to name it MN Viking. As Studio 3. So that's the difference between File Open and using Merge. Merge is like import. And so that's it. So if you have any questions, please post them. Thank you.